playing time sheet?
It is. You missed it.
Well, then you'll share it with us, right?
Well, if you missed it, you missed it. Snooze, you lose, man. It's like my mom always said.
Have you seen enough from Josh McCown yet, or do you still want to see him in the offense on Thursday?
I mean, obviously, you would love to see more. You know, we are down to the wire right here, and we're still evaluating every position. And so it's hard. It's a fine line there. But you know, obviously, what he did last week was good, and probably good enough. You know, so we'll see.
What do you know about Henry Pullard? HT. I'm sorry, HT Pullard.
HT. The guy is, you know, I haven't watched a ton of tape on him, but I know this just talking even to some of our players, and then, you know, I know he played with Nelly and all of that, and this guy's the guy's a thumper. He's a good player. He's athletic. You know, it's hard, obviously, trying to learn the defense in 24, 48 hours, but you know, he'll do the best he can to come in and learn and be in a position to help us Thursday.
You know, how has brought in 15 guys, or you guys have brought in 15 guys since camp started? 13 of them are still here. What advantage does that give you as far as evaluating the most possible people in a short period of time?
Well, I think it's twofold. I think, one, the guys that were here previous, right, we've worked with those guys. Even though you have to let some of those guys go to bring these 15 or so in, we have history on the guys we had to let go. So if there is an injury or something down the road during the season, we know about these guys. They're familiar with us. And then kind of on the same note is these new guys that come in, we get another evaluation on them, and probably for the same reasons. If there is something that happens during the regular season, these guys can be called upon to come in. They know your team, they know your kind of your structure, and it makes an easier fit.
Doug, still no Fletcher Cox, openers creeping up here. What's reasonable expectations for him?
Well, you know, as I said the other day, you know, I fully expect, you know, these guys to be ready for week one. They're getting themselves prepared for week one. You know, so that's reasonable. He has been working. He's still getting his workouts in, and you know, he's been going through all our walkthroughs and getting the mental side of it. And so, you know, it leads me to believe that he'll be ready. Fletcher's a guy that knows how to prepare, knows how to get himself ready, and I would have no concern if you know, if that was the case.
You have to prepare for the possibility there's not just Fletcher, but I guess Nigel and maybe Derek Barnett and Darby, that they might not be able to take the full workload if they come back in week one.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've discussed. Those are things you know, you plan for. You got to plan for all of that, and you know, we had great experience at that last year with the amount of injuries. But some of these guys you mentioned have been practicing with us, and they've been looking good in practice. Some even got in the game last week, and so again, you know, it's reasonable that you know, everybody will be ready next week.
How much influence does Dave Phipp have on a lot of the bottom of the roster decisions you guys are going to have to make here after Thursday's game?
You know, his obviously his voice, his opinion matters. You know, I stress a lot with this football team that it takes all three phases. You know, offense, defense, and special teams, and he has a really good impact of the bottom, say the bottom third or so of the roster, and really even some of our starters that have to play. You know, we ask a starter from time to time to play at least one unit of special teams. So he sees these guys work every day in drill work in the special teams portion of practice, and it makes a difference. It makes an impact on, you know, the guys we keep at the bottom.
A year ago this time, Carson was really pushing to be ready by week one. You guys hadn't yet made a decision, but
he's ready this year. He's ready this year. If you're wondering.
What's he been doing differently this week? What's the different feel that you're getting from him?
I think it goes all the way back to, you know, even the end of the season. Just how he approached the offseason. Yeah, how he, you know, he was determined to, number one, be healthy. The way he attacked his rehab, he was diligent in his rehab. He trusted the doctors. He trusted, you know, the team around him that was helping him physically get back. And then just as we progressed through the OTAs with, you know, the practices, how we structured practice, and just each day he kept getting stronger and stronger and on into camp. And, training camp was set up that way, with that in mind, to have all our starters prepared and ready to go for week one. And I've seen nothing but improvement, each week of training camp with him. He's had some really good practices here as of late, and I feel comfortable and that he's ready to go.
What was last week's, when you lost the quarter last week, due to your evaluation process? I know Toth was going to play that whole fourth quarter. Some of the other guys were going to get in there, and you kind of lose that.
Yeah, you do. The fortunate thing is we have this week to get those guys in and play a lot, and so it is. I've been a part of games where, especially preseason games, as a player and as a coach, where we lose a portion of a preseason game like that due to weather. Can't control it. It's unfortunate for the player because you do want to get him in the game and evaluate him, but we've got another game Thursday that we'll get a really good feel for a lot of these guys.
As a player,
Doug, we've kind of talked a lot about the shifting landscape of the preseason. This fourth game, has that changed for you at all, or that back end of the roster, can somebody play well and earn a spot?
From a philosophical standpoint, it hasn't changed for me. Obviously, you go in, you rest your guys. You rest your so-called starters, and this is a valuable time for a lot of these young players, because a lot of times it comes down to those special teams reps that we talk about, the guys that your 51st, 52nd, 53rd guy that are possibly starters on special teams. And so it's important. It's important to them. It's important to us as coaches, as evaluators, to see these guys perform, put them in as good of a successful situation as we can, so that they can succeed on the football field. So this last game is very important. As a player, I've been a part of these games, and so I know what it's about. And for me, this was my season. My whole season possibly came down to one game. So it's big for a lot of players.
Speaking of that, Doug, as a player, you went through this process and didn't make the team several times. Is there one particular one that stands out as sort of the most painful or anything like that?
Yeah, the biggest one was in 1995. I was with Miami Dolphins, and they had just signed Dan McGuire that offseason, and I came into training camp. I felt like I had outperformed him, and outplayed him. I was the fourth guy on the roster, and ended up getting released at the end of training camp. And of course, you're disappointed. You're a little bitter and kind of upset about it. But it was actually a blessing in disguise, because I later signed in Green Bay that year and spent 8 years in Green Bay. So, this is not the end of the road for these players. I tell them all the time that obviously competing for our team, but again, there's 31 other teams that are looking at our roster to see who gets released and who stays and all of that. So, your dream is never over, and it was my case in '95 where I went to Green Bay and had a chance to play on 2 Super Bowl teams and go from there.
Hey, Doug,
Do
for
you
some,
tell those guys, the guys who are on the bubble, try not to worry about, this week, the game Thursday?
I do. I do the best I can to kind of ease their mind, a little bit on this week and what this week is about. It is tough. It's hard, and there's a lot of uncertainty. Am I going to make it or not? I think at this point of the training camp, in their mind, they kind of see exactly kind of what's in front of them. I try to explain to them, like, listen, you can't count the numbers of guys in line. You just gotta make every rep count and every play count. So I know it can be a little bit of a distracting week for some of these players, but at the same time, you still want them to go out and play and play well.
Hey, coaches, you called
You
for a
lost
lot
some
of
production at defensive end since offseason with Chris Long and Michael Bennett. Have you seen enough from the guys that are slated to take their roles to where you think you're set there, or do you need more?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at it. Obviously, the addition of Vinnie Curry helps. Derek Barnett's been practicing and been doing extremely well. So we get him back. This year, BG's BG, and he's solid. Then you're looking at Deshaun Hall, you're looking at Josh Sweat, and then of course Sharif Miller. There's three young players there that have played a lot in preseason and will play again Thursday night, get quite a few snaps. So that last spot is kind of one of three players, quite frankly, and they've all done a great job. Looking forward to Thursday night to see how they play and give us that rush that we need, because we play so many guys up front. We at least 8 guys, 4 ends, 4 tackles in games. So it's a great way for any one of them to see the field.
More questions, Bill? Tormalata was in practice yesterday. Do you have any further on the reason?
Just he low back with him, just resting him. We're gonna get some more evaluation today, and have an answer. But should be fine. We'll just got to see after we get more results.
Clement carried a heavy load last week in last week's preseason game. Are you comfortable that you have seen enough from him going forward into the regular season? And what might the running back rotation look like?
Yeah, Corey obviously had missed a considerable amount of time. Last week was big for him, stepping in and playing. I thought he played well. I think one of the things when players don't play for a while, they kind of can rush through some things, and especially the running back position. And you just want him to kind of slow down. He did well, but I think there's times where he could have just slowed his eyes down a little bit and found the hole a little bit better that way. But he ran hard, he ran physical, just like we know Corey can do. He's attacked his rehab obviously, well, and is in his good position. Again, it's a great thing to see. I mean, we've had a lot of depth at the running back spot this training camp, and guys will get one more opportunity this week to see what they can do, and try to make the 53.
For some head coaches who call plays, they use the preseason to give an assistant a chance to do it. Is that something you've done or have considered at all?
I've done it in the past. I did it with Frank, and something that Mike and I have discussed even this week and moving forward.